This is for those who are into Attack on Titan's alternative original ending theory. This is a book written in the late 1950s, and Isayama has been accused of plagiarism from the amount of elements he silently took from this book. The general consensus is that Isayama never admitted he took elements from this book, simply because so many elements in Attack on Titan are from it. In this video, I'm going to look at this through the lens of AOT and the AoE theory. They called for me. That is all I really know. They called for me and I went to them. I could not do otherwise. The will of the whole of humanity was a strong thing. It smashed through the ties of time and the chains of space and dragged me to hell. Why was I chosen? I still did not know. Though they believed they had told me. Now it is done and I am here. I shall always be here. And if, as wise men tell me, time is cyclic, then I shall one day return to the part of the cycle I knew as the 20th century. For, it was no wish of mine. I am immortal. John Dacre's story begins with him staring out at the sky, at the moon, thinking about mortality and the futility of human existence. Right before he drifts to sleep, he hears the name Ericos repeated over and over, a calling from another world. A multiverse is already established. In this other world, Ericos is already dead. It's implied John Dacre is Ericos' reincarnation. From this other world, King Regenos, defender of humanity, is one of those calling Ericos back, summoning him. King Regenos is the king of Necronol. He needs Ericos to stop the Hounds of Evil, an inhuman race also called the Eldrin, from ruling a third of the world and fighting against the rest of humankind. John Dacre gets flashes of memories from this other world and becomes Ericos once more. Ericos goes to his tomb and materializes in it. A woman named Iolinda is introduced. Ericos takes his sword, and then King Regenos says, "They are doomed now, the dogs." Iolinda is King Regenos' daughter. It's established that Ericos' fate had been taken almost entirely out of his own hands, and that he became a tool. Ericos has to forget things from his life as John Dacre. King Regenos wants Ericos to drive away the Eldrin so people can, quote, enjoy the peaceful things of life again. Lord Catorn and King Regenos explains that there are 3 continents. One of them, Myrmidon, has been taken over by the Eldrin. Paphanol is a land taken over by the Eldrin too. The captain of the Imperial Guard, Lord Catorn, calls the Eldrin fiends from hell. King Regenos says that they expect the Eldrin to attack the 2 other continents, Zavara and Necrolala. All mankind fights the Eldrin, and a single breach of their forces means the Eldrin taking over. Ericos sees this as a meaningless war between 2 ferocious, blindly hating factions. The Eldrin are not human, and attempts by the Eldrin to gain peace are disregarded by humanity. This is because the Eldrin are seen as cruel, and therefore only speaking of peace to lure humanity into a false sense of security. King Regenos calls the Eldrin demons, and the Eldrin have a master. His name is Asmobana, who can take the form of something like a human. Catorn says the entire Eldrin race must be wiped out. Ericos gains a stone-cold resolve to kill all Eldrin. Ericos flirts with Iolinda. He starts having memories of the past and future all at once. Ericos mentions, quote, the idea of past and future seems meaningless to me now. Iolinda makes Ericos realize that he has a responsibility to the entire human race, and that wasn't a burden that Ericos wanted to bear, since he had no faith in his own powers. Quote, what right had I to lead humanity in a war that could decide its very existence? None. Catorn and Ericos have plans to take over the ancient seaport of Paphanol before they'll wipe out the rest of the Eldrin. Ericos and Catorn talk about the suspicion that Ericos could be an Eldrin in disguise somehow. However, Ericos' blade, Kanajana, kills Eldrin, so that is impossible. Regardless, Catorn's suspicion of Ericos is seen as a mature caution to have. The story takes on a more meta approach, and Ericos mentions that he is aware of the reader. Ericos says things about the real world that he assumes the reader understands, but he himself doesn't remember or have the context for. Ericos confesses his love to Iolinda, and promises to marry her when he comes back. Iolinda tells Ericos to swear he will return to her. The attack against Eldrin is said to be the day after. Everyone is able to sleep for the last time before the attack. In his sleep, Ericos has visions of the many worlds he lived through in the past. A world where he was a sword, a world where he was aboard a spaceship, a world where he was crying alone in a desert, and many other worlds. He never had peace in those worlds, and it was all too much for him. King Regenos mentions that the Eldrin men, women, and children must all die. Ericos swears, quote, I will destroy the Eldrin, I will destroy the enemies of humanity. With the sword Kanajana, I will ride upon them with vengeance and hatred and cruelty in my heart, and I will vanquish the Eldrin. A fleet of 50 ships is prepared. Ericos is still being bombarded with fragments of memories from different points in time. They reach the No One Knows seaport, where Ericos meets Prince Bladach, overlord of No One Knows. Ericos is haunted by the idea of living out more worlds eternally. He wonders if he'll ever discover the truth. Ericos meets Count Mildero of Stalico as the journey continues. Count Mildero talks about the Eldrin and says, "You seem to think I hate Eldrin individuals. I do not. For all I know, they may be kind to their own children, love their wives, and treat their animals well. I do not say that they are, as individuals, monsters. It is as a force that they must be considered. In this case, because the Eldrin are not human, they threaten us merely by existing. And, by the same token, we threaten them. They understand us and would wipe us out. We understand us and would wipe them out before they have the chance to destroy us. The fleet of 50 ships sails for about a month. At least 20 Eldrin ships are waiting on the horizon. Katorn claims that the Eldrin use sorcery, and is proof is from tales that men who did not lie have shared. However, those men who did not lie didn't actually experience it themselves, and only got that info from other people. Ericos hears that Eldrin, quote, have no orbs to their eyes and that this was their chief distinguishing unhuman characteristic. They were said to be inhumanly beautiful, inhumanly merciless. They were slightly taller than the average man, had long heads with slanting cheekbones and slightly slanting eyes. Ericos' dreams are getting worse, and he has dreams of entire worlds destroying themselves in senseless battles. Now, even when Ericos wakes up, he finds himself momentarily being dragged back into his dreams of different worlds. It's all a mess of memories, and he wakes up for the final time, screaming. The Eldrin ships begin to move, clearly faster and with cannons stronger than a human fleet. Humans began to attack the Eldrin ships. King Regenos laughed as he saw the Eldrin drown. The commander of the Eldrin fleet, Duke Bainon, offered a truce with the humans. King Regenos quietly tells Katorn to kill Bainon, and Ericos tries to stop them. However, King Regenos says there is no questioning of honor when exterminating vermin. Bainon offers that if he wins against Ericos, humans will let the Eldrin go, but if Bainon loses, the Eldrin can be taken as prisoners. However, Katorn killed Bainon with a bow before Ericos could stop him. The humans beat the Eldrin fleet. However, there were losses on the human side too. Ericos is upset because if he had agreed to Bainon's duel, Ericos would have won and so many humans on his side wouldn't have had to die. The humans make it to the city of Paphanal. All the Eldrin men were killed. Every Eldrin man over the age of 12 was killed. None of the elderly Eldrin were left alive. Only the women were left. It's revealed that Ericos begged King Regenos to not kill their children, but he did so anyway. King Regenos kept Eldrin children as slaves, planning to kill them later. They take captive a blonde Eldrin woman named Ermishad of the Ghost Worlds, who is Prince Arjava's sister. The Ghost Worlds, quote, lie beyond Earth, beyond time and beyond space, linked to Earth only by the most tenuous of bonds. In these worlds live ghosts and men who are fated to live without time. Ericos thinks to himself, wondering if the Ghost Worlds are the cause of his strange dreams. It's believed that the Eldrin are born from a queen who gave herself and her virginity to Asmobana, who, again, is the master of the Eldrin. He is seen as the figure of evil influence over the Eldrin. Ermishad does favor for ghouls. In return, there are creatures called halflings who are friends with ghouls. Ericos meets Ermishad, and she implies she knew one of his past incarnations. Ermishad is consistently insulted by Regenos, but she stays noble and doesn't react. Ericos falls in love with Ermishad just by looking at her. Ericos speaks to Ermishad and says, I am not even sure where I am. I do not know if I came from the far future or from the far past. Ermishad replies, the terms mean little to the Eldrin, but some of us believe that past and future are the same, that time moves in a circle, so that the past is the future and the future is the past. Ericos dreams of himself as his many incarnations while his name Ericos is called over and over. Ericos wonders what he is, and wonders if he's even human. All the identities in his dream form into a mess of memories from different points in time. Ericos argues with King Regenos later, saying he's a champion of humanity, not a champion for Regenos. Tension rises between Regenos and Ericos. Ericos comes back to Eolinda. Eolinda talks to Ericos about Ermishad, and Ericos doesn't give any opinions on her. Eolinda implies she's worried that he'll replace her with Ermishad. Ericos and his team realizes that the Eldrin had outmaneuvered them, and King Regenos plans to make Ericos bargain with Prince Arjava of the Eldrin forces using Arjava's sister, that sister being Ermishad. Prince Arjava's Eldrin army is currently marching towards Necronal as fast as possible. There was a rumor that Arjava's army was comprised of halflings from the Ghost Worlds. Ericos has a chance to lead forces of his own to meet Arjava's army, and he forms a short one-day truce with them before battling, following an ancient code of war. It's implied that one of Ericos' incarnations created the code of war. Prince Arjava says if his sister Ermishad is killed, then he will burn down Necronal, kill King Regenos, his daughter, and everyone else. Ericos later sleeps, and for now he gives up on trying to understand the significance of his dreams. The next day, Ericos' forces prepare to fight. The fight slowly begins to look like a defeat for Ericos' forces. It's revealed that the reason Ericos' forces are losing so badly is because there were halflings helping Arjava's forces. Ericos' forces begin to retreat against his will, and Arjava defeats Ericos. Ericos tries to attack Arjava, but he faceplants into mud and loses consciousness. Ericos, while unconscious, asks into nothing, "Where did I come from? You have always been. Where will I go? Where you must. For what purpose? To fight. To fight for what? To fight. For what? Fight. For what?" Ericos wakes up, realizing he is now a hostage. He offers Ermishad's freedom in exchange for his. Ericos talks more with Prince Arjava, talking about how he is forced to fight with no clear idea of what's right and wrong and what's true and false. Ericos asks Arjava about the halflings. Arjava tells him about how the halflings are creatures able to break up their atomic structure at will and reassemble in a different place. The halflings are related to Aldrin in some way. It's revealed the ghost worlds are solid enough, but exist in an alternate series of dimensions to their world. There are many series like this. Some believe the amount is infinite. More than 1,000,000 years ago, the Aldrin found a means to bridge the dimensions between Earth and the other worlds. However, every once in a while the ghost worlds move into another phase, leaving the halflings on Earth unable to return. It's also revealed that Aldrin occupied the Earth long before humanity, and that humanity was implied to have actually invaded Earth from the ghost worlds themselves. In the first wars between them, they used weapons that had so much destructive capability that the Aldrin swore they'd never use them again. The Aldrin still have those ancient weapons, but they're locked away. The humans at that point degenerated and they were causing civil wars, almost wiping themselves out completely. The Aldrin only wanted peace, but humanity's existence means that peace on Earth may never exist. A few days later, he was released and able to go back to Necronol. Ericos finds out that Ermishad was never given back to Arjava. It's revealed King Regenos forced Ermishad to stay, since he didn't value keeping his word. Suddenly, Ermishad hums a song and calls upon her brethren of the Ghost Worlds. The halflings surround her, and as they connect to Ermishad, it sends her back to her Eldrin camp. Before she's gone, Ermishad says she would like to meet Ericos in happier circumstances, and Ericos agrees in front of Regenos. King Regenos and Count Roldero are extremely upset at Ericos for letting her escape. Ericos leaves. Ericos talks to Eolinda, and she doesn't believe that Ericos is being truthful anymore when he says he only loves Eolinda. Ericos says he will prove to her his allegiance. Ericos says, "I swear I shall kill all the Eldrin." She replies, "All? Every single Eldrin? You will spare none?" "None. None. I want it to be over. The only way I can finish it is to kill them all. Then it will be over. Only then. And when the last Eldrin dies, when the whole world is ours, then I will bring it to you and we shall be married." Ericos feels more like an automation rather than a man. Ericos and his forces seek out killing all the Eldrin. They kill all the Eldrin in the Outer Islands. Then they kill more Eldrin in Myrmidon. King Regenos gets shot by an arrow and somehow dies from the shock. This means Eolinda is now going to be the queen. Ericos' forces prepare to destroy the principal city of Myrmidon, Luz Patokai. Ericos is face to face with Arjava again, but agrees to enter Luz Patokai as a guest. As Arjava leads Ericos to his palace, it's revealed that Eldrin can't hate. Ericos meets Ermishad again. Ericos tells her about his oath to kill all Eldrin in order to marry Eolinda, and Ermishad understands. Ericos, Ermishad, and Arjava talk at a table. Ericos reaffirms his own attachment with Ermishad and Arjava, talking about his oath. Ermishad and Arjava try to convince Ericos that they're his friends. Ericos reveals that he only has nightmares when he asserts his own individuality, and now those nightmares have stopped. Arjava and Ermishad convince Ericos that they are kin in spirit. Ericos believes that he's not even an individual, just a person strung along by their nature. Ermishad tells Ericos that his duty isn't to humanity, but to himself. Ericos is still unable to listen to his own heart. Arjava and Ermishad let Ericos sleep in a room alone. He has a dream of civilizations fighting and destroying each other on loop. The same history, the same mistakes, over and over. Ericos wakes up and talks to Ermishad. He tells her he believes that there should be peace with the Eldrin, because the Eldrin sets the precedent for peace that humanity needs. He plans to convince the new Queen Eolinda of this. Arjava warns Ericos that humanity will only be satisfied when every Eldrin has died, because it is humanity's destiny to fight. Ericos talks to Count Roldero about peace, and Roldero goes back to his comrades to tell them Ericos has gone mad. Ericos returns to Necronol. Everybody hates him now. Ericos tries to speak to Queen Eolinda about making peace and that he loves her. However, Queen Eolinda believes peace can only be made when all the Eldrin are dead. Queen Eolinda sees Ericos as a traitor and calls for the guards. Lord Katorn appears, and Ericos knows that Katorn hated him all along and that Katorn would try to kill him. Ericos unsheaths his Kanajana sword. Eolinda tells Katorn to slay Ericos. Ericos easily kills Katorn, marking his first human kill. When the other guards attack, Ericos kills them too. Ericos says his final goodbyes to Eolinda and jumps out the window. Ericos escapes onto a ship with some of his crew that still trusts him. Later, Ericos bids them farewell, traveling on horse to Luz Patokai. Ericos is now part of the Aldrin forces. 2 months pass with Queen Eolinda being indecisive about attacking. As they wait, Ericos asks Rojava about the ancient weapons the Aldrin had locked away. The Aldrin swore to never use them again because of the damage it caused. Ericos asks Rojava to use them again as a show of strength that would hopefully lead to peace. Rojava tells him it wouldn't work, because humanity would rather die. Ericos tells him that if the time comes, Rojava should leave the weapons responsible to him. Rojava solemnly understands that Ericos is a traitor to his own race. Ericos promises to use the weapon not as revenge, but for the Aldrin people. As winter neared, Eolinda gave humanity permission to attack, with Count Wildero as the war champion. As the siege arrives, Wildero tells him, "Greetings, Ericos the traitor. We have decided to punish you, and all the Aldrin within these walls. We would have slaughtered the Aldrin cleanly, but now we intend to put to slow death all those we capture." The humans shot fire-based cannonballs at the walls, and their arrows blocked out the sky. 1 million human men tried to attack Luz Patokai. After 10 hours of fighting, they fell back. Every day the humans kept attacking, but they were driven back every time. After a week, Ericos and Rojava realize that their defenses will soon be breached. With 1 hour of defense left, Ericos convinces Rojava to break out the ancient weapons. The ancient weapons are readied. Count Wildero and Ericos fight for the last time. Ericos kills Count Wildero. The warriors of humanity retreat, preparing for Queen Eolinda herself to send them into battle next day. Eolinda confronts Ericos and insults him, calling him a traitor. Ericos demonstrates the ancient weapon's power, and the force of the weapon even hurts Ericos too. Ericos tells Eolinda that they can all live in security for the rest of their lives if the humans stop fighting, but Eolinda refuses. Eolinda calls this war the War on Sorcery, but Ericos reaffirms that it's just advanced science. Ericos tells her, if we continue to fight, it will be a fight to the finish. The Aldrin would prefer to let you go once this battle is won, but if we win, I intend to clean the planet of your kind, just as you swore you would do to the Aldrin. Take the chance. A peace. Be sane. Eolinda refuses, still believing that dying by sorcery is better. Ericos goes back to order the attack. Eolinda dies off-screen as it happens, and the human forces continue to fall easily. 2 million human warriors were killed in an hour. After defeating the waves of human forces, Ericos made his choice. Ericos goes back to the places where he killed the Aldrin in the past, and humans were occupying them now. Ericos reclaimed those spots for the Aldrin, taking the ancient weapons to destroy the humans. Ericos goes to Paphanal, destroying the fleets as he destroys the garrison. The men, women, and children were all killed indiscriminately. Ericos alone led the ancient weapons overseas, destroying all the human cities. That includes Nomanos, Tarkar, the Wheatlands, Stalico, Calademia, Mororos, Ninadune, Wedma, Shilel, Sinan, and all the other human cities fell. This happened over the course of a couple of hours. Soon after, Necronal was destroyed too. Eventually, the ancient weapons were used to destroy humans hiding in caves, forests, and any other places where they could hide. Quote, I would doubtless have destroyed every blade of grass if Rojava had not come hurrying over the ocean to stop me. He was horrified at what I had done. He begged me to stop. I stopped. There was no more killing to do. Ericos says that he did it for peace, and because he knows that humanity can't change. Rojava is upset at the level of destruction, but in the end what's done is done. Ericos begins to head back with Rojava, back to Myrnidin, where Irma's hut is waiting for him. Ericos says, I think I did it right. It was not my will, you know, but something else. I think it might have been what I was really brought here to do. There are forces, I think, whose nature we shall never know, can only dream of. I think it was another will than mine which dragged me here, not Regenos. Regenos, like me, was a puppet, a tool used, as I was used. It was fated that humanity should die on this planet. Ericos returns to Luz Patokai and marries Irmishad. Ericos overcomes his guilt for what he did, and makes peace with himself. Rojava rules the earth, with Irmishad and Ericos at his side. Ericos thinks to himself about time, wondering if it is in fact cyclic, then humanity will one day be born again. Ericos addresses the reader, wondering how long his own peace on the Aldrin Earth will last. With that, that's the end of Book 1 for the Eternal Champion series. Briefly going over the elements Attack on Titan takes from the Eternal Champion one last time. Ericos' name is like Eren. The Aldrin species is like the Eldians. Ericos and Eren have dual identities. There's a cycle of hatred and war between different races. Humanity versus the Aldrin and humanity versus the Eldians. There's a theme of moral ambiguity and perspective. Ericos starts off fighting the Aldrin on the side of humanity, but eventually uses the ancient weapons to destroy humanity as he turns to the side of the Aldrin. In AnR, Eren starts off fighting the Titans, aka the Eldians, on the side of humanity, but eventually uses the Wall Titans to destroy humanity as he turns to the side of the Eldians. There's the theme of fate and free will, struggling with their predestined path, which is very important in AoE. Ericos was once John Dacre from the modern world, but was brought to the other world. This could be related to Eren once being from the high school world, but was brought to the Attack on Titan world. This theory of Eren originally being from the high school universe is supported by Teru from Love being from a modern world too. Ericos seemingly has an obvious lover from the start, but eventually finds romance with Ermishad instead. Ericos destroys the rest of humanity after killing his friends, Eolinda and Roldero, then returns back to Ermishad. AnR Eren destroys the rest of humanity after killing his friends, Mikasa and possibly Armin too, then returns back to Paradise. It's obvious that Attack on Titan is based off the Eternal Champion, and using this book, many elements of AnR and Attack on Titan are reaffirmed.